So utilization is the earliest warning sign in your operation. When it drops, your revenue weakens and margin pressure follows, really fast. And so tracking it monthly by crew exposes, dispatch breakdowns, seasonal planning gaps, training issues before they become actual emergencies, and also customer dissatisfaction as well, because you might not have enough people to send to jobs, which is also lost revenue, right? Okay, so here we have a data set. If you want this data set or this file, just there's a link to download it, or you can shoot me an email. But pretty basic data set, crew ID, crew leader, crew type, market, those things. And then these columns here, available hours, overtime, total paid, scheduled, billable, non-billable. Idle's a big one. We're not using that in this KPI, but idle hours. And then also you're going to see some blanks here, and it's just because there were no available hours, but we still just put the data there. And then I'm going to show you how to calculate these columns, but the only one we need for this specific KPI is this one. And so to get utilization billable, it's just billable divided by available equals billable divided by available here. And you can see these percentages match here. And then the scheduled percentage is scheduled divided by available equals scheduled divided by available. So same thing here. So you can see these two columns here are the same as these two columns here. And then the month end column is the one that we're actually going to need. And so equals EOMONTH. So we want the end of the month based on the date column here. And so EOMONTH, comma 0, and that'll give you the end. It's formatted as a percentage. That'll give you the end of that month here. That's why you want it as 0. If you do 1, it'll give you the end of the following month. In this example, February. But we don't want that. We want this month. But anyways, these 3 columns here are the same as these 3 here. So I'm just going to delete them. Okay, so now we're going to create this heat map with the target changing cell, meaning if you change this cell here, everything will update. And it sort of makes sense, right? And at least here in Texas, summer months, you're going to be busy. It's hot. People are calling, you're busy. And so I'm trying, I have, multiple HVAC clients, and I try to make these data sets as realistic as possible because I've seen a lot of the data and I work with the data. And so this is a fairly realistic data set. If you're in the north or, places like that, you might have more work in the winter than you do in the summer. But here in Texas, summer is when everybody's getting crushed. Okay, so the first thing we need a unique list of the months of that EOMONTH column that we created, and we need a unique list of the crew manager or the crew lead right here. So let's just do month here, and then equals unique. And also this is a table, so you can see in the formula just makes more sense. It tells you the column name, which is a huge benefit of using tables. And you're going to want to do that. You're going to want to use a table. And the way you do that is you just go in your data set and press Control T. I can't do it because it's already in the table, but let's just say you had data that looks like this, and you press Control T, and now it's in a table. And then if you go to table design, you can see the table name, because it just makes it easier to keep track of things. Like table design, this is table crew daily, right? And so now, because we know the table name, we don't even have to use the data tab. We can do all of the formulas here. So for example, we want the unique list, and then you can see all the columns, but we want the crew leader, right? So we have that. The next thing I want to do is I want to sort this alphabetically like this. And then I want to put it across the row. So I want to transpose it across the row. So the transpose function, like that. Again, copy, and then Control-Shift-V to paste. Okay, so now we have to create these here. And so what this is essentially going to be is scheduled divided by available, right? So that's the column we did here, the utilization schedule, but we're not going to take the average of this. We're going to do the whole, for the crew leader and the month end, we're going to take the sum of the scheduled and divide it by the sum of the available, right? And so the way we do that is equals, we need to SUMIF, so SUMIFS, because it's more than one criteria. And so the table and then this column in the table that we're going to use is going to be scheduled hours. Right? That's how many hours they're scheduled for. And then from here, what we're going to do is we need the crew leader here, and we want that to be here. Got to put a comma. And I'm going to put a $sign because I want to do absolute referencing. If you're not familiar with $signs, so as we drag things over, it'll go from Derek to Evan, but as we drag it down, it won't change from Derek, to row B3. So it's going to be $2, comma, and then the next thing is the table, and then we want the month end column, and then here it's going to be $V3. And so we have this number here. And now we want to get this percentage here, we want to divide the scheduled hours by the available hours, right? Because they're available 40 hours, but you're only scheduling them for 35, like you're not, the utilization is going to be bad. So I'm just going to copy, let me show you again. I'm going to copy this. So we don't have to redo the whole formula. I'm going to divide by the same thing, but instead of scheduled hours, I'm going to do available hours. And now we have the percent. And then now you can just drag this over. Oh, no, sorry. You have to copy and paste. The reason why you can't drag, scheduled hours turns into billable hours, right? And that's a function of tables. So copy and paste. But you can double click down. Well, you can double click here to autofill down. And so, yeah, so it makes sense. And so now we have this here. But what we want to do is let's just add a decimal. I'm just trying to make it look exactly like the intro. So overall here, and then overall here. So the overall, let's walk through this. So what do you think the overall is? The overall for the crew leader, or the crew lead, it's going to be the same formula, but we strip out the dates, right? We don't care about the dates here. We just want for that specific person. And so anywhere you see month end like this, you can do that. And then right here, you can do that. And then Control-Shift-5 to format it, copy, and then paste. And then one last thing is the same thing here. So overall here, I mean, you can just copy and paste. It's going to be an error because it's looking for the word overall in the crew leader column, which there isn't the word overall. So you're going to get an error. But now we just delete the crew leader section because now we want the month. So right here, take this out. And then right here, take this out. Make sure you leave the comma. Make sure the comma's there. And then double click down and we're good. So that's how you calculate it. And now this is valuable, right? But it's like the heat map makes it super valuable because now it's like, okay, who's below 80%? Well, it's like, okay, like here and then here and here and here, right? So we want to create a heat map, but before doing that, we want to add just the overall at the company level. So it's the sum of scheduled hours divided by the sum of available hours, right? So equals sum table scheduled hours divided by the sum table available hours. And there's your percentage. Okay, so to add the changing cell, let's just say 80%. And then now highlight everything here, hold down Control, highlight everything, and then conditional formatting, highlight cells less than, and then click on 80. And now you have a changing cell, right? And you can change this to however you want. And then you'll notice in the summer months, fully booked, right? For a lot of people, or very high utilization. In the winter months, not so much. Very common in Texas. And then the last thing I want to show here is if you want this to say target, like say, for example, you're sharing this, with some people on your team, and you want it to say the word target just so they know, you need to format this differently. Right now, it's formatted as text. So again, just put in a number, press Control-1 inside that cell, your format cell dialog box, go to custom, and then you can see 0% here. If it's not here, then select that. Like if it's here or something, select 0, quotations, and now you have sort of the final output. And now you can change this, to whatever you want it to be. And so, yeah, that's essentially how you calculate your crew. This is crew utilization. There's tech utilization. There's labor efficiency rate. There's a lot of those things that I'm covering all of them. I've already covered those actually. So if you're coming from the book, then it's in previous chapters. If you're coming from if you're just coming from the videos that are posted, then it's you'll find the other videos. Or if you're interested, shoot me an email and I'll just send you a link to the video, or I'll send you a book. Just shoot me an email and I'll mail you a book. So questions, if you have any questions at databoards.io. If you want this file, which is the data set as well as the complete, all the completed stuff, there's a link to download it. If you can't find it, shoot me an email. And also, if you need some help, structuring your data in this format, or getting the KPIs or the insights, or all of your reporting stuff, also shoot me an email, or there's a link to hop on my calendar. But that's all I got for this one, and I will see you in future videos.